to like actually really being sick, to the point where I couldn't even get out of the bed. Like my dad was like, please just go to the ER. I didn't want to go because I already knew how sick I was and I knew that they were going to keep me. I just wanted to be at home with my little girl. And so the AMR, they came, and the lady was like, where you want to go? And I said, well, just take me home, take me back to Mary Hill Central, because that's where I had worked previously in the ER and at the burn clinic. So I knew a lot of people there and got really sick from it. It spiraled out of control. Upon my arrival at the ER, my temperature was 105, and urine was out of whack. Urine not good at all. Became septic. Just totally dehydrated. Just very, very bad. On the ventilator for 7 to 9 days. God sent Doctor Bookhardt, worked through him, and the rest is history.
Walk me through what some of the how did the doctor tell you that he said he has a friend in California?
Right. So when I was on the second floor, they admitted me, right? And at that time, we were still trying to figure out what was going on. They thought it was something in my stomach because I wasn't able to hold down nothing. They was actually going to take me into surgery and take out my gallbladder, which I had no recognition of because I was so sick. Like I was my body was here, but I was somewhere else. And so the nurse, when I found out it was COVID, my dad was coming to visit me, like he normally would, like they normally would allow. Nurses came in and rushed him out and was like, no, you can't be in here. And I'm like, okay, wow, what's going on? So my nurse came in. He was so sweet. And he kept, trying to make me smile. And he was like, well, maybe we'll be roommates, maybe when I see you again, maybe I'll be next to you and I'll see you. And so, he was telling me, he was like, well, what do you think about, he was taking my IV out. He was like, what do you think about the COVID pandemic that's going on? I said, well, I think that it's really bad. It's a deadly disease, and I hate that it's going on. It's killing a lot of people. And he said, well, I had a friend in California that had COVID twice, and they beat it. And I said, okay, well, that's good. Thank God for that. And he said, well, I said that to say you have been diagnosed again with COVID. You're COVID positive for the second time. And I just looked at him. I didn't say nothing. He said that. He walked out the room. Another doctor came in, and the look in his eyes, like he was just looking at me like, I don't know, you know. He was like, we're going to put you in ICU. But first, we're going to take you down to the ER, and then we'll get you a bed in ICU. And I remember thinking to myself, like, man, ICU, I gotta really be sick, not knowing, still not registering, how sick I really was, but I know ICU is a serious thing. You only go there if you like really, really sick. So got down to the ER, and again it spiraled out of control. Was down there in one of the rooms, and my breathing was so bad. I couldn't catch my breaths. I was actually on the phone with one of my friends, and she actually heard me buzz the nurse. And I was like, is there anything else you can do? Anything else you can give me? And he said, no, the only thing you can do is push you on the ventilator. I said, well, come on, put me on the ventilator. I just want to rest. And so he came in, a whole bunch of doctors gathered around. The lady, before I sit back up, I asked the doctor, I said, will I wake up again? And he said, well, we really don't know. We just got to have hope. And the nurse was holding my hand. She was like, okay, baby, you're going to hear me count. And by the time I get to 3, you're going to be out. And she was 1, 2, and it just went totally out. I had no recognition of nothing. Woke up. It was like, you was out for like 7 to 9 days. It only felt like a day. Only felt like one day.
And during that time she was sleeping, y'all did the plasma thing. Do you even remember like them? Nothing
at all. Yeah, she was sedated. She was sedated, and like you said, a lot of people at even some of the staff, and different people, as hard as they work, and they definitely they gave it their all. But a lot of people were saying, because back then, we have to remember, we were just encountering this COVID-19, and nobody knew, you came in with that fever, you were short of breath. I think you might even been sweating somewhat. We took some we took chest X-ray. CAT scan, CT chest, and everything was showing what we call pulmonary edema with lungs full of fluid. And we were thinking, is this some type of early onset, congestive heart failure or different things like that? And so, yeah, you came back positive for COVID-19. Like you said, those other things took place where the person was counting, and then they, gave you some sedation, but you were intubated, so a tube, going in your mouth, down your throat. We confirmed placement of the tube with a chest X-ray and by listening, and then connecting that to the life support machine, to the ventilator, and it was, and I remember, the look on your parents' face, particularly your father.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was very aware.
Oh, we need to
You could turn yours
stop.
Off. Oh, your mic.
I need to say that again. Say that again.
I'm pretty sure it called it, but it's just a little clearer if I put the mic over here, like where they could hear you and stuff.
Okay.
You turned yours off.
We're live, everybody. It's live. I guess maybe I'll recap just some of that if you want to.
I feel like it called it.
You think it called it? Because that's important with that tube going down now.
It is.
That's important now.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So we were talking about, so when she came in, I think that although everybody was doing their best, this was something that we had never encountered before. And, I think a lot of people were some people were like a deer in headlights, like, oh my, high fever, short of breath, what we call respiratory failure, had to go on the ventilator, meaning a tube being put down a person's mouth, down into the throat, and then going down, confirming placement of that tube on chest X-ray, and then listening to confirm placement as well clinically on exam, and then connecting that tube to the ventilation device, to the ventilator or the life support machine. And basically there were even a couple of people who were like, God help her, and wrote her off. But I know back then, and even before, of course, before the vaccine. So this is when convalescent plasma was just barely being introduced, and at this particular hospital, we had never given this before, and it was actually deemed an experimental procedure, and it was actually deemed an experimental procedure back then. So after our patient was on life support, she was sedated. That's why she said she didn't remember anything. And convalescent plasma was brand new. A lot of people were saying this was deemed an experimental procedure. And I did some research on it, and there were certain places and certain facilities that had it. It had to be flown in. And I think while there were some people who wanted their best for our patient, but just because this was something we hadn't encountered before, and she was just so sick, I think that they had kind of written her off. And we prayed about it, and I said, look, there's no way we're going to give up on this girl. This girl is 25 years old, has a 1-year-old daughter at the time. She's got a 1-year-old daughter. I said, there's no way we're giving up on her. And so we got the convalescent plasma there. We did all the blood work and different things that you have to do, checks and balances to make sure that she can receive this safely. And we started the infusion, and we just had to hope and pray for the best. And I'd say from what I remember, after about maybe 48 hours or so, she began to show improvement. She began to, we were able to turn down the sedation little by little, which is part of a usual protocol in the ICU. She was the ventilator settings. We had the pulmonologist, which is a lung specialist on the case. He was able to change some of the ventilator settings. And, we started seeing improvement, and we became hopeful. And I think more and more people started coming on board, like, oh, I just think this girl might make it. And I remember her parents, her dad was, I think he was in tears actually, and was just like, man, not whatever you do, y'all got to save my little girl, save my daughter. And to me, I don't know. I just felt like, for me, I don't know if it was the fact that she was 25 years old, that she had a 1-year-old daughter herself, or, just the fact that I just wasn't giving up. And so, like I said, we prayed with the family, convalescent plasma. We got that infusing. And then she began to show, like I said, slowly but surely, she began to show progress. And
do people still use this?
Not so much anymore. That was one of the, because now with the vaccine, you're seeing the symptoms of COVID are a lot less with the vaccine. That has helped to save a lot of lives. And I think that the convalescent plasma, there were different studies that were done, and so some people deemed it, is it something that was not effective, and some studies showed it was, and then there was a study that showed that there was even harmful on a subset of patients. And so, as far as I know, I don't even think it's available anymore.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel knowing that, like, it's been 4 years, 4 years since that time? Like, and I'm sure that was like a very scary time.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, 4 years since I've seen this young lady, and I mean, I think the emotion was just as it was when I first met her. I mean, maybe a little. I mean, I'm glad you're not on the ventilator, but the emotion was like, she came into the office, and I said, I know that name. And then when I looked at her, and I had to think again, and I said, hey, did you have COVID in 2020? And I said the name of the hospital facility. She said, yeah. And I said, your parents were there? You had a young child? She said, yeah, my daughter was 1 year old. She's 5 now. And man, she'll tell you, I literally I was jumping for joy. I said, man, this made my day. I was almost in tears, because, I love what I do. And just to see, I think normally in our line of work, we do see more, good than bad, more success stories than deaths. But at one point, I wasn't so sure with this one. But, all I know is that we did everything we could. The good Lord did his thing. I did everything to the best of my knowledge, and just said we weren't giving up. And she's here today. I said, that's a testimony. Praise God that she's here today, 4 years later. This young lady she's married. She is working her job, and her baby girl is 5. And so that did it for me. That was a praise report. I said, I don't care what else happened today. That is a praise report.
And talk about COVID just in general. Like, I know you don't know all the answers, but what do you think it's going to look like for the next several years? Like, did you even think we would still be at this point?
Well, yes and no. The reason why I say yes is because I have my own personal views about, some things with the government and all this kind of. I do think that there could be even some conspiracy theory with certain things, but we do know objectively that we do have the data that COVID-19 certainly is real. I know that there have been arguments over how it came to be and how did it get over to this country and all the other stuff, but bottom line is it is here. I figured, so I said yes, that it'll still be here, because I feel like it's just like the flu. This is something that we're going to be dealing with, unfortunately, indefinitely. They're going to come out with vaccines and different things every year, and it's just going to become par for the course. I think it's going to be just as regular as the flu. And unfortunately, I think that a lot of patients ended up suffering more than they had to, because a lot of people didn't adhere to the CDC guidelines, didn't wash hands properly, didn't wear the appropriate masks. They even people were on social media early this morning making fun of that and saying that how they would draw the arrows in the grocery store. People were like, you remember when you couldn't go down one aisle, and they were all laughing just on. It was several thousand people in this group. So People didn't take it seriously, and despite the fact that millions of people died from this, even people that a lot of us knew, even employees at the same hospital where she was hospitalized. A wonderful nurse was there who worked on the telemetry floor, and a lot of people know this young lady. I think she was barely 50 years old, might have been 52, and she died from respiratory failure secondary to COVID. And this was a nurse at the same hospital. So yeah, so unfortunately, I think it's just something that we're going to be dealing with in this country.
Okay. I forgot what I wanted to ask, but I know what I want to ask you. You want to turn your mic back on? And then after this, I should be done. I'm going to turn this one on.
We're still live.
Hit the power button.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's not on. I turned it on. Okay. And so are you nervous about COVID? Because it's still going more. What do they call it? Not variations, more.
Yeah. You talking about with the changes, like the different strains,
Yeah, different
stuff
strains.
like that.
They get stronger, they get weaker. How do you feel? How do you walk through life every day?
I'm not really scared of it. Only thing, because I didn't see the worst of it, I'm scared of God. Okay. And I put my faith in him. I'm not really scared of it.
Absolutely.
I hear, the scares, and we just had a COVID outbreak at my job, and I already knew I didn't have it because, like I was telling Dr. Bookhardt, I know when I have it because I be so sick from it, and it just the fatigue. I be so tired. So everybody was freaking out, and I'm just walking around like, y'all must don't know Jesus, okay? Like,
come on now.
What's wrong with y'all? I'm good. And so, of course, I had to follow a protocol. I had to go get a test, and it came back negative. So I'm not scared. I just put my faith in the Lord, and I know that if He did it before, He'll do it again. So I'm not scared.
Okay. Yeah. And can you talk about your daughter, like in your family? You said you went in, she was 1. Now you got to see her grow up. She's 5 now. Like, talk about that.
Yeah. So when I came home from COVID, for some reason, I thought that I had been gone for so long. She was only 1, and I honestly thought that she wasn't gonna remember me. And I tell anybody, like, I felt like something was going to happen to me, but I thought it was going to happen giving birth to her. I knew something was going to happen. I didn't know if I was going to come out of it. So between that time, between when she was first born all the way up until I had COVID, I loved on her so much. You're fine. Okay. You want me to re-say that?
You
okay. I loved on her so much. Gave her a lot of love. I just hugged her, kissed her daily. My mom would be like, "Girl, put that baby down," And I never told them, like, I feel like something's gonna happen, so I want to love on my baby, the like every chance I get, because I want her to feel my presence when I'm not there. I want her to still feel me. So, coming home, she ran up to me. She was giving me hugs and kisses. She was looking like, "Girl, where you been?" And I'm like, "Girl, I'm back home now." She kept trying. I was still kind of weak. She kept trying to climb up on me, wanted me to pick her up. I'm like, "Girl, you're a little too heavy for me right now." But my parents, my dad, he was right there. Like every appointment, everything. He took off of work. I was like, "Man, Dad, you ain't gonna get in trouble, is it?" But he was right there throughout the whole thing. My mom was praying. We constantly pray. Even after I came home, it was still a fight. It was still a battle to, not go back and to continue going forward. I would go to sleep and have dreams of me smiling again, walking again, running again. I remember being on my phone and looking at all my friends, and I was like, man, I just want to be happy and healthy. I want to be well. I would call my dad and just boo hoo, and he would sound so sad. He would be like, "What's wrong? Don't cry. It's gonna get better." you're gonna get, you're gonna get back to yourself. So yeah.
And what about like vaccinations and stuff? Like, do you think people should go out of their way to get vaccinations? Are you going out of your way to get vaccinations?
I did. I'm not gonna lie. When I first heard about the vaccine, I didn't want to get it because I was still scared. I'm like, man, I just came out of this. I can't go back to that again. That was a lot, and it was very draining. And so my dad really pressed me. He was like, please get it. Please get the vaccine. Please don't put us back through it. Because there was a lot of theories going on that, if you get it, you will catch COVID and all that type of stuff. But I went ahead on and got it, and it was good. So I do encourage people to get it because it does help.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you, Dr. Bookhardt? I'm gonna turn this mic back on.
Okay.
And this is my last question, and we
Oh, yeah.
gonna be done.
I got a couple updates too on that since you brought up the vaccine.
Okay.
I got a couple things for the people. We're gonna bring this thing on home, and we're gonna.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna air this part on the news, but we're gonna give it to you because we sitting here and we're gonna give you the real. This is raw and uncut.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm ready.
What was your question first though? You had one last question. Did you ask your question?
Just about the vaccine, how people should deal with COVID, like should they still be getting vaccines? Should they still be concerned? Stuff like that.
Well, again, I don't know why that there's so much angst and people going back and forth about this and debating it. Look, the facts are clear. The objective data stands for itself. COVID is real. People are still being infected by this. People are still dying. And so people, yes, absolutely. I do understand that there are people, and even those that I know personally, who've made a personal choice and decision not to, for whatever reason, not to have or take the vaccine. But it's definitely patients that are either, that you got people that are elderly, immunocompromised, diabetics, people with chronic kidney disease. Those are all people who definitely need to take this vaccine, because the thing is, it's just like the flu shot. We tell everybody, look, there's no cure for that. These are viral illnesses. So there is no actual cure for that. There's nothing that's just going to prevent COVID. But the facts are clear that with the vaccine, we did see a significant decrease either in people that were measuring the viral, the viral load or the, how terrible it is in affecting somebody's body. The effects of the virus on the system were lessened, and that's been demonstrated in thousands and thousands of patients. And so again, I don't think anybody in the medical community is trying to act like this is going to prevent you from getting COVID. But what it does do, and especially for that subset of patients, that's something that they need. So it's just like getting a pneumovax, which is the pneumonia vaccine, the flu shot. These are things that are tried and true. And I think COVID and the vaccine is just going to that's going to be another household thing. It's going to just be something that we're looking at annually. And this thing, this virus can change. It's just like the flu shot. People get the flu shot and they still get the flu. But they're just, hopefully they just won't be as sick. They won't die from it. And so I think that's it. And so that's what I wanted to leave on. I wanted to make sure people know, look, this stuff is still real. People on these airplanes coughing all over the place. That's when,
I caught it on the train.
You see that? So
somebody next to me was like,
and you heard that. And that's the reporter talking. She caught it on the train.
Yeah.
Probably going to New Orleans.
That's what happened.
Look, you see what I'm saying? So we got to stay vigilant. We have to, we got to stop the foolishness. This is real. Flu, we're right here. Here's flu season. People going to be sick, weather changing, sneezing all over the place. Folks, wear your mask. I understand that people are not going to be doing all the gloves, and they probably won't do a social distancing and all that. And the CDC does not recommend 7 or 10-day isolation anymore. I think that's down to about 3 days or so. And some people don't isolate at all. But we definitely don't want to go into another pandemic with this. I don't think that it's going to get. I don't think that we'll ever get there again. But at the same time, if people don't take the precautions and heed the direction of the CDC, who knows where this will lead.
And this is my last question.
Mhm.
Basically, people should be thankful that we have a vaccine because
Right.
y'all
Absolutely.
literally had to experiment. Y'all had to do all these trials and everything just to get
Mhm.
people, past it. Would you agree with that statement that I'm making? Like, they should be thankful that there is a vaccine to fight this.
Uh, I won't be a politician on you, so I'll directly say, well, I am thankful.
Okay.
I guess that is a little political.
Okay.
I'll say that I am thankful for that. I'm thankful that we have something to help us combat this terrible disease. It was certainly nerve-wracking and stressful on everybody in the medical community. Certainly, I know it was for her and her family. And I remember her parents asking me, like, is this thing going to work, Doc? And I just say, hey, as we say in the medical community, we never give any guarantees. And certainly, we sure as heck couldn't guarantee this because COVID had just come out. We didn't know what it was. And she came in with all types of severe symptoms. So I think that, that's certainly a breakthrough. And I'm certainly grateful for it. I know a lot of other medical providers are. I know a lot of families are. And it's just something that we have to take seriously. It's not going away. And, we just need to keep that same energy and remember where we came from and don't lose sight of that. But I got to say, look, I don't know if y'all gonna hear this, but I am thankful. I am deeply grateful that this young lady is sitting right next to me, that we are here. She comes from a family of faith. She had deep faith herself. And in the medical community, there are just some things we can't explain. Everybody was like, when this happened, we did an interview with you guys, with your same team back in 2020. And a lot of questions were coming like, well, did you know it was going to work? What was the guarantee? And this, and that. I said, we didn't know anything. But all I know is that we serve a risen Savior. And, if you have that faith, studies have shown that when people of faith, when they believe, just as Coach Prime used to say, talking about I believe, when people believe, and usually these are people believing from a source of faith, what you feel on the inside finds its way on the outside. And so that definitely directly impacts your care. And I think, again, I'm not saying that everybody, because everybody has different beliefs. They may not be able to pray with their patient. We certainly did. But I think that if you have some type of belief, something that you're holding on to, some reason to live. You got your daughter, you got your parents, maybe your church family, all these people love you. And so I think that all that, in addition to the medical parts of the medical part that we were empowered and blessed to do, but I think the fact that this young lady is just so strong, her faith is so strong, that it was able to withstand the test of time. So anyway, don't get me started now. We ain't gonna start preaching in here.
All right, good job, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
Good
it.
interview.
And look, remember, look, we're looking right here. I was almost about to say your name. We won't violate. But look, you're gonna be. We're gonna do something else. She doesn't know it yet, but we've got Telehealth Tuesday coming up tonight, 7:00 p.m. 7:00 Central Standard Time. We've got an amazing husband and wife doula team. If you don't know what a doula is, you'll find out tonight. I'm going to just tell you, they do a lot more than just birthing. They do a lot more than just care for women around that time. We're talking about naturopathic medicine, the homeopathic medicine. We're talking about so many things that they do. And so you don't want to miss it. Husband and wife doula team, they're fantastic. And we need to have you on Telehealth Tuesday because certainly this was my patient right here that we gave convalescent plasma to at our hospital at the time 4 years ago. A lot of people wrote her off at the time, didn't think she was going to make it. My faith was tested as well. But again, we serve a risen Savior. God prevailed. You held on to your faith even when you were sedated.
Right.
And so convalescent plasma was given. She tolerated that well. She came off that ventilator, and you see, as living proof, she is here, living, breathing, walking, talking. The baby is 5 years old.
Yes.
And that baby need clothes. Somebody, I'm just joking. But anyway, tune in tonight, Telehealth Tuesday, 7 p.m. Again, the husband and wife doula team will be streaming live on Doctor B T.V. That's the word DOCTOR, Doctor B T.V. You look that up on YouTube, it'll bring it straight to there. Good Faith Wellness Center on Instagram, Good Faith Wellness Center on Facebook. And we'll see you always on a Tuesday. And remember, true wealth begins with good health.
That's right.
Bye for now.